everybody. I'm Michael Monaco.
And I'm Bobby Salveson, and we are the Hazmat Guys, bringing you the knowledge and insight to make your job a little bit easier and safer. But before today's show, let's listen to our sponsors. From traditional headsets to in-ear communications, Cavcon offers rugged and reliable choices for any communication challenge and any harsh environment. Cavcon's award-winning Talk Through Your Ears technology is specifically designed for clear and consistent in-suit communications. Whether you're working from a quiet control room or responding to an incident in a full level A, Cavcom has the comm system that's right for you. Any suit, any respirator, any radio, any environment. Check them out at cavcominc.com, that's CAVCOMINC.com, or give them a call at 866-547-4988.
Now let's get into the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Hazmat Guys. This is episode 173, and we are bringing you the absolute best content in the hazmat world. But we didn't have any, so we're bringing you this.
Arguably.
Bobby, where in God's name are you going to be? Where in the world is Bobby Salverson?
It's like Carmen Sandiego when we were kids. I will be in Wisconsin. I'm looking forward to it. I'm keynoting that one. That's going to be
What are you talking about?
That's, I think it's the You Suck at Teaching Hazmat, where I teach everybody how to be a better presenter of probably the world's most renowned dry subject ever.
Yes.
Possibly.
Definitely.
But it doesn't just stop there. You can use this technique for a million different techniques or topics that kind of are a little more of the bland structure. And I think I'm doing one or two others. I don't remember exactly which ones they are, but that should be a pretty good one. And then I'm going, oddly, I just got accepted to the National Fire Academy's Hazmat Code class, which...
Ooh.
As a uber nerd, I am excited, but you know what the problem is that I go from the New York State Hazmat Conference,
which is in April,
directly to the NFA.
Ooh.
Like I'm doing Friday, Saturday at the New York State, and then I shoot straight to lovely downtown Emmitsburg, Maryland, for a 6-day stint with my good friend Jim Jarris, who was on this show. He's the instructor. Nice.
Yeah, he actually did a very good breakdown of national hazmat codes.
Well, if I have anything to say about it, we will be doing Hazmat Codes Part 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're going to be I have a feeling that I'm going to be coming out of this class a little bit more fresh into the hazmat codes with the two instructors that I have. One guy's name is like Dilly, or Dilly, something like that. It's something silly, Dilly.
I would just
Philly Billy.
I'd bring him Budweisers all day long.
Foapy Dopey. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But
something that rhymes, something we'll make fun of him for.
We'll definitely have some jocularity about that one. But we're going to probably have a couple of hazmat codes classes that are coming up. It is not a response class from what I understand, but it's more of a compliance, and it's just more of an awareness. Something that we, like our job with me and Mike work, when I brought this to the chief, and I'm like, I want to go to this class, and he's like, no, that's really not in your lane. And I'm like, yeah, but come on, man, I'm a nice guy. And he's like, all right, whatever, go.
Go ahead.
And so they sent me, but
it is good to know these things because, listen,
that's,
like we don't have a ton of industry floating around in New York City anymore, but we do have enough where it warrants, we go into these places, you're walking around, and stupid things like, how are cylinders supposed to be stored? How are acids and bases supposed to be stored? Like, you just can't take an acid and a base and throw them in any willy-nilly cabinet. Like, it has to be properly labeled. How is it stored? How far apart do they have to be? And it's not just, going in there and turning around and being like, hey, listen, like, this code is not correct. Like, if you're going into a response where something has happened, you should have an idea of what the code is, and you should kind of be like, all right, well, I am assuming that because I'm going to an oxidizer run, that I know the closest flammable liquid should be 50 feet away.
Right. And that's not the point. Like, a lot of people are like, well, it's not a response class. I understand that. But you know what? In order to build a better hazmat technician, I'm going to this thing, and I'm hoping to bring back a good amount to bring back to you folk to make you guys better as well. And I'm going to the National Fire Academy to see what's up. So I think that's the next two, but I think the Midwest is coming up, but that's a little bit further away, and I'm looking forward to that one as well. But I think that's the next 2 or 3 that we got coming up here. And other than that, tonight is another kind of a riff, but I'm kind of excited for this one.
Well, it's very you guys based, right? The show comes from you guys. We put out shows, and quite often we get questions about the show because we kind of suck at this, and we obviously don't put together all the information, and people have questions. So if one person has a question, then the 4 other people listening to this show probably also have a question.
Right.
And we figured we would, instead of just answering the email to that person, we gather up a bunch of them, and then every once in a while we kind of run through this. So,
dude, guys, we really, and I'm not exaggerating this, we probably get, I'm going to say 40 to 50 emails a week.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to say 90% of them we get back to very quickly. Some of them are very juicy, and some of them we say, hey, we just don't have enough typing technique to get back to you on this one. And we've kind of shoveled them all together in tonight's show. We've done two of them that we picked out. We're hoping to get to the third one. We're not even going to mention, so I'm not even going to tell him who he was.
Right.
So he doesn't get upset that he doesn't go, I didn't make the third spot.
Yeah, but the other 38 emails, let's see, if we do this every month or so, every 2 or 3 months, and we get about 30 emails, that's about 120 emails that aren't being answered on the air.
Right.
So
right.
You have a pretty good chance not to make it on.
But these 2 had enough meat on them that we said, you know what, it's more than an email, but it's less than a show. And so we're going to try to sweep up 3, but we're probably going to sweep up 2. Mike, why don't you walk in the first guy? We're very
sensitive,
cognizant. We're very respectful of departments and names, so we're going to leave it very.
Which, if you know anything about us, is probably the only thing that we're respectful with.
Yeah.
Because other than that, yeah, we really it's anyway. All right, so so and so from so and so place. The subject is refrigerants. Good morning. I listened to your podcast on refrigerants, which was relatively recently. What was that, a couple weeks ago? Do you have any experience with old refrigerants, such as sulfur dioxide? We seem to have had a few runs of them as late. Similar PPE to ammonia at a level A? ? Also, when you talk about refrigerants and using a sniffer, do you have an example of what kind of sniffer? Just one for simple natural gases addressing LEL? ? Do the halogenated hydrocarbons get picked up on the gas sniffer? ?
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
A couple of good, decent questions. So we'll start off with the first one. Do you have any experience with the old refrigerant such as sulfur dioxide? I can't speak for Bobby because sometimes we're on different shifts. We don't always work together. I have had a couple of sulfur dioxide runs. I've actually had 3 or 4. Generally, they seem to come from very, very, very old refrigerators in basements. I have done only residential sulfur dioxide. I have not done anything on a commercial level. I haven't done anything sulfur dioxide with cylinders or anything like that. It's strictly been an old refrigerator in a basement, and there was a leak in the line, and the sulfur dioxide kind of came out, and everybody evacuated because it's really, really potent stuff. Smells heavy rotten egg smell.
Bad.
So what we did pretty much for all 4 of them was pretty similar. Like many of the refrigerants, once there's a break in the line, it all kind of goes out. There was one that we had that was an exception, and that was a pinhole leak in which it was slowly emitting the sulfur dioxide. If you look at your PPE selection on the sulfur dioxide, I believe, this is off the top of my head, I believe there is a flammable range to it. But with it being in a basement and it being residential and the amount of actual sulfur dioxide that could come from the refrigerator, we didn't hit any kind of LEL readings whatsoever. And at the same time, there really wasn't any there wasn't any kind of concentration to warrant like a level A. And I don't even know if sulfur dioxide is skin absorbable off the top of my head. I believe it's just an inhalation hazard. But we did bunker gear for all three of them. Bunker gear, SCBA, and really the biggest struggle was getting these really old refrigerators out of the basement. We monitored for LEL. We were on air, and we basically just got them out into the open and dismantled the refrigerator and let sanitation take it away. They were relatively easy runs. When we were done, we would attempt to ventilate the basement that they were in. So we would use like a positive pressure fan, get some circulation going in there. Sometimes we go down there with SCBA cylinders. We break them open and we just try to move the air around because sometimes you get pockets of air that won't move when you try to ventilate. So we try to get it down as quick as possible. One of the things that I would stress with the sulfur dioxide run is if you only have a few meters, don't bring them down with you, because the sulfur dioxide, when you reach certain levels, it very quickly burns out the meter, which we kind of learned. And we go in, we identify it as sulfur dioxide. The moment we can identify it as sulfur dioxide, we take the meter out, and we just kind of leave it off to the side. That way we have something to use to see if our ventilation is working, because if you burn out your meters, then you got nothing. That would be pretty much my experience with the sulfur dioxide. How about you? Anything different or similar?
I actually whipped out, because I always, I always have a NIOSH book within arm's reach.
NIOSH book, thank God. I always get so nervous when you say you just whipped it out.
I mean, seriously, it's kind of a basic thing. So we were talking about this really quickly. Upper level and lower level, not applicable, NA.
Okay, so sulfur dioxide is not
flammable. It's a non-flammable gas, and so let's see, exposure, inhalation, and contact. Well, so it'd be contact, I guess it would be. Well, inhalation would be at SCBA, so that's easy. I see frostbite.
I think that's what the contact hazard is. I think the contact hazard is the frostbite. I don't think the actual chemical itself. What is the route of entry?
Let's
see. Not the route of entry, but the target organs.
Target eyes, skin, respiratory system. So if you are wearing now skin is second, so eyes are primary, respiratory systems is tertiary. So even so, the IDLH is 100 parts per million, and let's see what else. TWA is 2 parts per million, so it's really low.
That is really low.
However, what's the vapor pressure? Let's see. Vapor pressure is 3.2 atmospheres.
Yeah, it's a
always
gas.
Will be a gas. Solubility is 10%. And its molecular weight is 64.1, which means it's going to drop down.
Right. That's why we have such a hard time getting it out of the basements.
Right. So, I honestly, I would concur with your whole bunker and SCBA. I don't think I would go level A. Level A is kind of, in my opinion, it's reserved to something that's a little higher. And second off, this is a fan job as far as decon.
Yeah.
So
no water at all.
And some of you might be asking, what the hell is he talking about? Fan job? It's a fan job. What I mean by that is if it's if it wants to be a gas, let it be a gas. Why send the guy into a car wash when it really wants to be a gas? Just stand the guy in front of a fan,
right?
And let it do its chemistry thing. So the problem is mostly going to be a frostbite issue on the bunker gear. The IP is at 12.3, so you're not picking it up on your PID. I would say this wants to be a gas, let it be a gas. I would say just go handle your business. And it's also sulfur dioxide, so it's not one of those, and I can never keep up with this because it changes like the American Heart Association CPR guidelines. HAHA, Formatic, ANA, 4H, whatever the hell it is today. It's not one of those 13 gases that goes up.
Right.
And so it's down.
It's down. And it's a heavy down.
And it's a heavy down. And so listen, I think your thing is is going to be a bunker in SCBA. I think and he addresses in here what kind of a sniffer. How would we pick up the leak? Me personally, I personally like to go with the soapy water. If I have exposed pipes, I'm going soapy water. If I don't,
I think these are almost two separate questions. I think he's asking about the sulfur dioxide and level A, and then he's also saying, "Hey, listen, you guys were talking about a sniffer during the refrigerants run. Like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the ones that are used for natural gas? So I think that's where those two, because they're separated by quite a few spaces. So I think they're kind of two separate ideas."
You've heard us talk about First Line Technologies' Dahlgren Decon solution and the FiberTech wipes and mitts. They've just come out with Enhanced Decon Systems Kit, which contains everything you need to quickly decontaminate 6 to 24 operators and all their gear in one fully equipped grab-it-and-go bag. This kit has been hazmat team tested and approved, and it's the only full-team modified decon kit with the power of Dahlgren Decon and FiberTech wipes to counter hundreds of known and emerging threats. The EDS kit is perfect for incidents where a small footprint, low logistics decontamination SOP is appropriate. Are you operating in a harsh environment? No problem. Whether it's minus 10 or 104 degrees F, Dahlgren Decon will maintain its effectiveness and can be easily applied to neutralize threats. The kit is stable in temperatures from minus 40 to 160 degrees F if you carry the RSDL with you. If you use all the consumables in the kit, unlike other rapid deployment kits, you do not need to buy a complete kit to resupply. Just purchase one of the First Line EDS replenishment packs and order just the elements you need. When ounces count and the clock is ticking, grab the EDS kit and go. Call the guys at First Line Technology for more information or a quote at 703-955-7510 or email them at sales@firstlinetech.com. Right. Okay. So we spoke in previous episode. I think in a refrigerants episode is what he's talking about. Is that we have a sniffer, right? And I personally like the Snoop, right? Which is the good old the good old soapy water, right? But if you do not have, you don't even know the pipe to squirt it on, then you have to use some type of sniffer. And what we're talking about is an electronic meter of sort. What people usually gravitate towards is the metal oxide sensor. However, for this, the refrigerant, we're using something that's very common, the coronal discharge thing.
Meter-ish thing. Yeah.
Meter thing. Whatever. It doesn't, you know what? It meters refrigerants. What we use for the metal oxide is for our flammables, coronal discharge. If you want to listen more about it, we get really into the weeds back a few episodes. I don't even know the hell.
I don't know if we ever got into depth on coronal discharge, and I don't think we do because
thankfully not.
I really have no clue what coronal discharge is.
Good. You know what? It's better for everybody. But what I will say that, you know, we have I'm not pushing any type of meter or not meter, but there is a famous singer that we compare to the meter that we currently use, the Burt Bacharach meter, which I think it's called Bacharach.
Yeah, the Bacharach.
It's a decent meter. It picks up refrigerants and it tells you which one it is and blah, blah, blah. But that might get you the hot and cold game, but the Snoop is going to tell you exactly where the problem is.
So Just to reiterate this email, he's asking if the natural gas will pick up the halogenated hydrocarbons. It will not. It is hydrocarbons. Sorry, halogenated hydrocarbons generally don't have a flammable range, so you are not going to pick it up on your normal natural gas sniffer or ticker, whatever you want to call it. However, there are meters out there that act very similar to that natural gas meter, but they just use a different technology.
Yeah.
All right.
Did we hit that one?
I think we hit it all.
All right. We're going to go over to another guy. Let's see. What can we say? Mr. Leno. Mr.
Leno.
Mr. Leno.
The fans that we have, Leno. God, I'm honored.
Incredible chin.
Leno.
And his specific question was on the chemical suicides episode number 2, and he says, "Hey guys, loved your two-part episode on chemical suicides. The one that got me thinking was episode 2. Working not far south of where you guys might be working, I can find myself encountering a question of my compatibility of 4-gas monitoring, SCBA operations, and level B capability, etc., etc. What would you guys have us do?" Now he's from EMS. "While you're mitigating, what's our role as far as hot zone patient contact? When you're on scene and etc. What would you look for us to do from the EMS units on scene? Would I evacuate the immediate area, call hazmat bosses, or sit tight for orders and wait for the proper updates coming in? Thanks guys, and thanks for being safe." So this is a chemical suicide. He's asking for, what does EMS do before, I guess, hazmat specialists or technicians get in there? And this is a really good question, because from what I know of this guy's department, and I'm relatively, I called a couple guys in this guy's department, and they do have SCBA capability, bunker gear only, and limited I think metering capability. I think they might have like a 4-gas.
They don't now. Is he specifically talking about EMS units that are hazmat trained in that department, or are these just like, what are my basic EMS units doing?
I could be wrong, but I think every EMS technician or every EMS unit has CO capabilities.
Yes.
And radiological.
Yes.
Now, I think has, whatever you call it in your department, has TAC, hazardous materials technician, tactical, whatever the hell you call it. They have additional like 4-gas capabilities. And now, if we have a chemical suicide in a car, let's say it's a Cadillac or whatever the hell it might be, and there's a guy inside the thing, what do we want them to do as the technicians, the specialists that are coming in to this scene, in order to, do they evacuate? Do they mitigate? Do they open a door? Do they not open the door? I think that's the question that he's yielding here. What would be the operation?
What would be the the word operation brings up a very good question. What level are they trained to?
Very good question. Okay, so what Mike is talking about here is that operations, pure unfettered operations, stays outside the hot zone. Now the question is, where is the hot zone? Is it the boundary of the car? Is it X amount of feet from the car? Right. Or is it the parking lot?
Right, because they stay outside the hot zone except for what?
Right.
Life safety.
And so when life safety comes up, and what commonly happens is, and there's a great video, I hope I can add this. Oh, man, I've seen this, and I hope I can find it. There's a great video that San Diego Fire Department or the San Diego Department of Health did, where they did extensive testing on chemical suicide, and they were testing all in proximity to the car. It was very, very interesting stuff. I'm going to write it down. I'm writing it down right this second.
Basically, what the study came to the conclusion with, there was a lot of questions when the chemical suicides first came out, and one of the biggest questions was the flammability of the product and the light bulb when it went off, and then how toxic was the actual toxicity. And basically what it really all boiled down to was the amount of reactants is very limited. So the amount of product is very limited. You're really only getting an initial hit off of the bucket, and that person is supposed to be breathing in that initial hit. The amount that's being built up really is not enough to create an explosive environment. But if for whatever reason you still feel or you don't feel comfortable with that answer, as an operations level person, we would always suggest go in, break the window, and breaking the window allows you to ventilate. And then from ventilation, after it's ventilated for even just a few moments, you can go ahead and open that door safely without worrying about a spark.
I want to back up a couple of steps here.
Okay,
because
back it up.
I want to break down the two methods. What Mike was just talking about was the hydrogen sulfide generation, which is the chemical suicide generation. This has, from what I found out, has fallen out of favor because it's a little bit more difficult to generate. I'm not giving you the ingredients how to do it.
Anything with sulfur and an acid.
What?
What?
What? Don't. What? What are you?
Jesus Christ! We sell eggs. We sell exit bags.
It's true. I have branded exit bags. So if you, that's one method. The second method, which is seemingly more popular, is the asphyxiant.
Yes.
The propane, the helium, the XYZ, it doesn't even matter. With the exit bag, that is the big one. So now if it is a asphyxiant, it evacuates rather quickly, and it is really not a hazard in a well-ventilated area for you, the responder. The hydrogen sulfide is a toxic, and it will get you at very low levels. So there's many factors to deal with here. If we have limited ventilation, if we have a confined space, if we have, and I'm not talking about a confined space in the car, I'm talking about a confined space of where we open
literally a small area.
Like a garage,
right.
Closed garage, that's a confined space. If I have a confined garage that's open, better. If I have a car that's in the middle of a field,
Perfect.
More gooder. Right? So much more gooder on that one. I'm also talking about the method of chemical suicide might be something that would be a big deal for you. So what I would say, always upwind. Pay very close attention to where the wind is going. I would evacuate downwind, and if you don't know, well, how many feet and everything, until your meter stops going off. Until your meter starts giving you an indication that something's going down.
Right.
You know, I would definitely. Yeah. And is that going to shift? Hell's yeah. It's going to shift every 30 seconds. It's going to drive you nuts.
It'll always,
it's going to make you nuts.
Always be moving. Well, if you're even getting anything outside the car without it being ventilated, it is entirely possible that you could walk up to this car and get absolutely no readings whatsoever because it's closed up.
In which case, leave it alone. You know, listen, I'm a big fan, and we can go into this forever with chemical suicide. I'm a big fan of making the snatch and grab, but if the guy is obviously dead, that was what he's intended. Let it be a recovery and not a rescue.
Right.
Because there's many more things to uncover.
But that's the weird balance when it comes to the chemical suicide, right? If the guy's obviously dead, which for all intents and purposes is suspended lividity, obvious death, right? Rigor mortis, which you really can't tell unless you're actually touching the person. So decapitation, but the hydrogen cyanide's not going to blow their head off.
I don't think so. Not the movies.
Sometimes. So, but obvious death would mean they were dead for a long time, and ironically enough, it's probably a relatively safe environment inside that car, whereas somebody who is still twitching and moving and going through those agonal processes will probably still have a high level. Like when they're actually able to be rescued is when there's going to be the highest level of product still in the car.
Right. So, all right, let's say this. Let's say what's our role as far as hot zone patient contact? Let's say they leave the car closed.
Okay.
Let's say the technician units get there. Let's say EMS gets ready for the removal to the hospital. They're ready in the ambulance. What do they do? Now, all right, so the guy has been removed. He's on the ground. What do we do with the patient?
All right. Well,
now,
okay, go ahead.
Let me build up two different scenarios here. If he is an asphyxiant death, aka he has an exit bag on his head, honestly, not a big deal.
Not a big deal. You ever
just put him in the back of the ambulance. You're done. You're gone.
It's like popping a helium balloon. It's like what are you gonna do?
It's over. And you just pop the exit bag over his head. You put him in the back of the ambulance. There is really no issues here.
Right. The problem
when you do have
the hydrogen. I was gonna say the problem comes from the hydrogen sulfide.
The hydrogen sulfide or the cyanides,
Or the
right? So when
cyanides,
you have
yep.
the cyanides or the sulfides, when you have those two things, what Uncle Bob would recommend, and again, there might be listeners that kind of get in my face about this, and I know there's going to be a couple guys that are going to listen to this and have better ideas than I do. What I would personally do if I was faced with this, I would dress this guy in a Tyvek F. Or even whatever, a Tyvek. I don't care, a splash suit. What I'm doing is I'm limiting his off-gassing in my ambulance. You see what I'm saying? And I'm going to put some type of I'm going to reverse isolate this guy. Would I have somebody in the back of the ambulance with him no. I would have SCBA on during the transport with extra cylinders. This has to be, if I have to pull the ambulance over in the middle of the run, that's cool. I'm going to step outside. I'll switch my cylinders and get back in.
Yeah,
that's cool.
If you have an ambulance that just can open the window in the back, a lot of times the door that door window can open. Let it ventilate out
with meters.
Right, with meters. Yeah, absolutely, with meters.
You got to be, and there's no reason to rush this one because this is a unique situation where PD's going to be escorting you. I would even have an engine company behind me just in case the ambulance pulls over. Everybody, what's the matter? What's happened? My SCBA is low. I feel a little. My skin's getting a little itchy. Okay, swap them out. Upgrade the PPE. Change your PPE. Change the guy's PPE. Change the ambulance. You can. There are no rules.
Yeah, I would see. You would do the Tyvek. I would try to do a rapid emergency decon as best as possible first, and I would definitely suggest the EMS crew do like a minute or two of ventilations outside the ambulance. Like if you can tube them and ventilate, that minute of ventilation will go a long way to removing a large amount of the product that's built up in the lungs. Now there's going to be stuff in the blood that's going to off gas to the lungs that's going to be breathed out. Will that be there? Yes, but you're getting a large majority out just in that little bit of ventilation that you're doing outside of the ambulance. So try to do some ventilations first. Try to get them the hospital is going to want them as clean as possible. So they're going to kind of bug out if you pull in with the Tyvek. I personally would probably try to clean them up before getting them into the ambulance, really for the hospital than anything else. But there's lots for the EMS crew to do, especially monitoring us, monitoring the patient. There's no reason why you can't have a technician come with you.
Yeah,
there's no reason.
Yeah, there's no reason for that, and I'm not trying to say you guys really shouldn't do anything. I really think you should do something, but I think your job as far as EMS, and I'm talking strictly EMS, is to prepare for the transport of the quote-unquote hot patient.
Right.
Just because there's plenty of stuff to do. It's going to be a lot of, get the stretcher out, get that Tyvek or whatever it might be to reverse isolate this guy, get your windows opened, block that passageway between the driver's compartment and the front, place your meters in the compartments. Like, I don't mean just the back, but the front. The guy in the front is probably not going to be wearing an SCBA.
Right, hopefully not.
I hope. I hope not.
Hopefully not.
So... that's an interesting one, but I think it's kind of simpler than you think. I would think.
Yeah, because you're not going to fill an ambulance in the back. I don't think you're going to fill an ambulance up past the IDLH just from the off-gassing of a victim. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure I read a study somewhere. Don't quote me on this, guys and gals. I'm pretty sure I read a study somewhere that just a few minutes of ventilation will take care of most of that off-gassing. I'll have to see if I can find that. I bet you I know who would know that. I bet you she's a doctor with a name that starts with a B.
Whatever. She's all right.
She's the best.
I don't know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show for the night or the day or whenever you're listening to this. See you next week.
If you have a moment, please head over to iTunes and leave us a positive review. And don't forget to check out the book, National Emergency Response Hazmat Drills, or NERD, on Amazon.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Hazmat Guys.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at the Hazmat Guys. And take a moment to call our comment hotline at 843-628-1484 and go to www.thehazmatguys.com and sign up for the newsletter.
We seriously look forward to your feedback about any of the information provided, and we also want to hear about interesting incidents that you were a part of. So you can send us a note at feedback@thehazmatguys.com. And remember, any of the information that you share with us, if we put it on air, can always remain anonymous.
Remember, guys, don't just get on the job. Get into the job.